Hello! Welcome to my video on Filipino electricity counters. So, I spent a fairly long time looking at the Philippines and mapping out electricity counters. So, for example, these are the little things that are often on walls or posts that, there are electricity meters. They measure the electricity. These are fairly regional within the Philippines. The community's kind of known this for a while, but I don't think there's been a proper document or video covering these. And so I wanted to look into them. So what I did is I went, province by province and try to get 20 or so examples of these counters. And some are regional and really good, others not so much. I created the document here. It will be in the description. And in this video, I just would like to go through and highlight some of the ones that I deem a little bit more useful. For the document, it is incredibly important for you to know your provinces and regions to a lesser extent. They don't show up on the map. So it's something you kind of just got to memorize. And honestly, if you want to learn your electricity counters, you should definitely know your provinces first anyway. It's a much better meta and shows up a lot more, especially if you're in moving, for example. You're going to find a lot of these signs with the provinces on them. Anyway, well, we'll get into it with the first counter I deem to be noteworthy of learning. Alrighty, so we're going to begin by looking into the CAR, or the Cordillera Administrative Region, specifically two provinces, those being Benguet and Mountain Province. Though we're just going to be looking at the western side of Mountain Province. Now the counter you find in this region is this. It features a circular cutout with the metal slats. You can also find a variation which is a little bit larger. I feel like this is more common in Benguet, but that might just be a fake meta. Alrighty, and here we have an example of the counter in its natural habitat. As you can see, we got the singular and a 4-hole one. Here we have another variation. This one features just two. Again, I feel like just anything more than one is more common. The more south you go, though you could still find it in Mountain Province. Perfect. Here's one more example. Here we got the just standard singular box. Just beautiful location. But yeah, exactly. Should be Mountain Province or Benguet. Just one of the two. Perfect. The next region we'll be looking at is the Ilocos region, starting off with the Ilocos Sur province, in which you can find this blue electricity counter box. Here we have an example of the blue counter, so it should be the Ilocos Sur one, kind of more in the north. As you can see, the top is missing, but I mean, just the color is so unique, it's pretty obvious it's that. And just south of Ilocos Sur, we have La Union, in which you could find a similar yellow colored electricity box. Alrighty, perfect. And here we have an example of the yellow counter, so it should just be La Union, which is in the south. How I remember the two, the yellow and south blue in the north, it's just the same as the Ukrainian flag. I don't know, it helps me. Perfect. There you go. On to the next one. Next up, we're going to be looking at the central Luzon region, specifically the province of Bataan. Now, within this province, there is this counter, which has two variations, one with the cover and one without. Though I must say the one with the cover is what you should really be looking for, as it seems to be unique to this region. Right here, we have an example of one of the Bataan counters. As you can see, this is the one with the case. It kind of is fit to the counter. Like, it's designed for this specific type of counter, and it has this little overhang here. So yeah, it should just be in Bataan somewhere on the west side. Here, actually, next round, we have an example of another one of those counters, though this one is missing the case. This specific counter can be found elsewhere. I think I've seen it in Luzon before, and also kind of in Mindanao in the south. Though by far most common in Bataan. Next, we're going to be looking at Mindoro, specifically Occidental Mindoro, in a part of Romblon, in which electricity counters will be commonly attached to what looks to be cutting boards. Alrighty, perfect. And here we have an example of the Occidental Mindoro counter. As you can see, it's literally just a cutting board. I don't really know why they do this, but it is so common. Pretty much all throughout Occidental Mindoro. And occasionally on islands. And here we have one more example. As you can see, even if you don't see the hole, just the large size of it is pretty unique. So, pretty easy to tell from far away. And one more counter really quick. I didn't make an animation for this. It's not that good of a meta, but this counter here with the little red dot in the kind of greenish rectangle is really common in Romblon. I think Romblon Island and Cebu particularly, but yeah. Maybe it can be found elsewhere. I didn't really notice it until recently. Okay, now for anyone watching the video, lock in. This is going to be by far the most important part. Within the region of Western Visayas, counters will almost always be attached to something that is colored yellow. Now, we're going to start by looking at Aklan, in which you will often find counters attached to flat boards that are often yellow and metal, or just wooden. The wooden boards aren't regional, they can be found throughout all over the Philippines, though those flat yellow metal ones pretty much are. Next up, we're going to be looking at the province of Capiz that features this cool yellow cover. What makes this one unique compared to others are the supports on either side, as well as this little metal bar on top. Next up, we're going to be looking at two provinces, those being Antique and Iloilo. Now, this one's a little bit weird because the counters don't necessarily fit the provincial borders. So in Antique, in this bottom part of Iloilo, you'll often find counters similar to those found in Capiz, but they're missing that bar on top as well as the supports. And then in the other half of Iloilo, you will often get similar covers or whatever to those found in Antique, but they have this like handlebar on top. Finally, this is the counter that's found on the island of Guimaras. This island doesn't really have a good cover meta, but this specific type of counter seems to be very common. Okay, as I just mentioned, these counters are super important. They're consistent, they're common. So I'm just going to play through a couple rounds unedited and just show and walk through them. So here we see the singular example. Guimaras has a lot of these, as well as Capiz. But the Guimaras ones look a little bit different. So I'm going to assume this is Capiz. Yep. You also get them in Iloilo. Here we just see the Aklan, because there's no top. It's just a flat board. Again, it could also be wooden. I guess, I don't even know if that's still Aklan. it might be Antique, but it still applies. It bleeds over. That one's weird. I like probably Aklan again, I guess. Yeah. What do we got here? Okay, that just looks like a standard Antique or Iloilo one. Not entirely sure. Maybe I go more Iloilo here. Or Southern Iloilo, I guess. Nah, just Antique. It's fine. Usually... Okay, Oh, this says the tab on top, so it's easier. Never mind. It's going to be Northern Iloilo. We'll play one more. Here we got a flat one. Looks like it may be wooden, painted yellow, so yeah, it should just be a Clan. Or Antique in that case. Here we have the singular examples. Like I was saying, Capiz has them a lot, as well as Guimaras. But we have this kind of weird shaped one, which I think is a lot more common in Guimaras. What the hell? Okay, it was the island. I don't know why it zoomed me out. On this next one, we got... hello? Where's the... Oh, there we go, that Clan one. Sure. No, and another Clan one. Okay, perfect. This is what I was looking for. So here we have another example of the Iloilo Antique one. In cases where you have like two of them or they're a little bit more elongated, I find that it's more common in Iloilo just because more people live there. So you need more counters. So I would probably just hedge near the city or south. It still makes sense. Okay, I'm going to do one more really quick. Here we got the just Guimaras counter with the little dot to the right. Here we have a Iloilo Antique counter. Maybe I go like Iloilo. Yep. A Aklan counter. It could be Northern Antique. Or just Max North. No, they're... I'm going to go Antique for this. And finally, we got the handle, so it's going to be Northern Iloilo. Very northern. Now, the Eastern Visayas are actually pretty useful. For example, in Eastern Samar, a lot of counters will often have this metal cover. There's a similar one you get in Leyte, though they do have slight differences. Also, Samar has quite a few good metas. For example, in the bottom half of the country, counters will often be enclosed in this plastic cover. Now, there's similar ones in other provinces, but usually they bulge out while this one's more flat. In the northern half, though, you get this metal cover, which has a pretty steep roof, and it's a little bit larger than other ones you'd find throughout the country. Okay, and next up, we're looking at the Eastern Visayas. So, as you can see, here's an example of the just Samar counter. I believe this is found in the northern half of Samar. Indeed. Here's another example of the Samar counter, the northern Samar, the box with that thick roof on top. Here we have an Eastern Samar counter. We can see because it has a little curve in there, while the Leyte one will be a little bit more sharp. Here we also have that same curve on the metal. Should be Eastern Samar. All right, lovely. And here is the other example I wanted to show for Samar. Now, there's a lot of similar counters. So you get a similar like plastic cover in Bohol and Misamis Occidental, but those ones are kind of extended out while this one's a little bit more flat. And I feel like this is easier to recognize and a little bit more unique. So the other ones are good to learn, but I think this is the best. So it should just be Southern Samar. There's just one meta I want to highlight for Negros Occidental, and it's found in the bottom half of the province. You often have counters mounted to these metal strips. Now, there are a couple variations that are used, but they seem to be pretty common within this province. Alrighty, this counter, a little easy to tell, just the long kind of metal strips that the counters are attached to, and it should just be Negros Occidental, just not the northern tip. And yeah, okay, it bleeds over the borders sometime, so... Here we have another example of the Negros Occidental counters. And it should be noted, you get similar strips in Mindanao, though I find that they're often a lot shorter. They're not as long. And the counters attached to them will often be different, and the routing will be different. But for the most part, see long gray strips that the counters are attached to, usually going to be in this region. I'd like to highlight just one counter meta for the island of Cebu. And it's somewhat regional. For example, on the eastern coast, you often get this metal box with 2 rectangular panels, whereas on the western coast, it's more likely to get a rectangular box with just 1 panel. For Cebu, we're going to be mainly focusing on this rectangular counter. As I might have mentioned, the variation with the 1 box, or 1 cutout, is found more commonly on the west, while the variation with 2 is more commonly on the east, and primarily just in the southern kind of half of the island, or the tip in that case. Here we have a variation with only 1 cutout, so I'm going to be going on the west here. It is. Here we have one more example. It has 2 cutouts, so probably east coast. Indeed. Next up, we're going to be looking at the Zamboanga Peninsula, specifically Zamboanga del Norte, where counters are often attached to this hot pink or a little bit more muted colored thingamajig. Alrighty, now this counter I was kind of off and on about including. It does seem to be quite rare. I've never seen it in an actual game, but it's just so unique and easy to recognize. It has this pink color, and you can pretty much find it like all over Zamboanga del Norte. And here we have one more example of that lovely pink, whatchamacallit. And, yep. I hope you enjoyed that edit. Anyways, next we're going to be looking at Surigao del Norte, where oftentimes counters will be attached to this 4x4 piece of wood for whatever reason. Also in Agusan del Sur, counters will often be attached to this thick metal frame. This is it! This is the best counter meta in the entire video, without a shadow of a doubt. The 4x4 piece of wood, found only in Surigao del Norte. I'm just kidding. It's a stupid meta. It's actually, I don't know why I'm including this. It could be found in so many other places. But it's somewhat common in Surigao del Norte. Wow, what a beauty. Look at this piece of wood, this 4x4. It's a little thicker, you can tell by the top there. And they attach it to poles a little weird. But yeah, just Surigao del Norte. There's a lot of decent metas in this entire region. I'll probably go over a little bit more at the end of the video. A couple other ones. But yeah, this one is my favorite. It's not even that good of a meta, I just think it's funny. Next up, we're going to be looking at Soccsksargen, specifically Sultan Kudarat, where you often get this counter with the circular cutouts in the corners. Another good meta is found on Sarangani and South Cotabato, where oftentimes you will get counters with this oddly shaped metal tubing, though I think it's only in the southern half of South Cotabato. Okay, I recorded all of these videos going over the counters like a while ago, and as I was editing, I realized I didn't record one for Sultan Kudarat, so I'm just going to do it really quick. Here we go, we have an example. You got the hole cutouts in the corners, so it should just be, I think the western side is where it's most common. Reason I included this, it's pretty easy to identify, and seems to be very consistent for this region. So yeah. Alright, and then this weirdly shaped tubing is actually a pretty good meta. You get it a lot in Sarangani as well as South Cotabato, just kind of in this general area here. And it's pretty unique. I did see it once over in Zamboanga City, but for the most part, I trust it. And then regarding one of the two, I can't really tell. Alrighty, and I think we have another example here. It's a little difficult to tell, but you can see the pipe kind of curves out and then down and then back in. This might be one here as well, but it's really hard to tell. So, yep, probably just one of the two. South Cotabato, Sarangani. Alrighty, we finally made it. The last meta I want to highlight is on Small Island, which is just off the coast of Davao City, where the cables will actually feature these black little ties. Usually you can find them in other provinces, but it seems a little bit excessive on this island. Okay, and then the final really good meta that I'd like to highlight is this one. It's just simply the little black wrappings around the pole. Now, this can happen in other provinces, but the amount of them seems to be pretty unique to the island of Samal. Not that you need another example of this counter, but here's one anyways. As you can see, a lot of the little black wrappings. And yeah, seems to be, for the most part, unique to this island. Alrighty, we did it. That's it. Those are all the main metas I wanted to highlight. Now I just want to kind of speed run through my document and just give a couple bits of information that I haven't given already. Also, I just today found out that Mumrick, the Swedish goat, also mapped electricity counters in the Philippines, and he did find a couple metas that I wasn't aware of. So I'd like to highlight some of those. So shout out to him. Kind of wish I saw it earlier, but you know, it's fine. So let's go. NCR, a lot of circular counters. Cordillera, kind of went through this. Mountain Province, pretty decent. This Ifuga one I think is pretty good, with the little circle in the bottom. Ilocos. This variation of counter I think is pretty common throughout the entire region. It's like kind of plastic covers. You can find it elsewhere, though just pretty common here. Cagayan. I think the Corino one here with the little tab on top seems to be pretty good as well. Oh, and this one in Cagayan. This counter just seems like a little more new, a little more rich, you know. It seems to be pretty unique. In this province, there's not much. Like these metal ones are pretty useful. They're just not easy to remember because they all look kind of similar, but there's ways to tell them apart. Pretty standard. When you just get like these colorful tubings and these boxes along with the counters, I'd say go near the capital or just one of those states or whatever provinces. I think we covered all this stuff, right? Oh, Marinduque. I've used this a lot. The boards that the counters are attached to are like fairly big, and usually it's just they're not that big, you know. Also, you have the tubing there. Anyways, this counter in Cameron's Norte, there's not a lot that looks like it. See, it like goes all the way down to the bottom there. Camerones Sur, you get this large overhang as well as another similar one. Minecraft shelf. It's kind of funny. The Maspade, I couldn't figure out a meta for that. There probably is one out there, but I don't know. We went over all that. The Samar one I talked about. Everything in Samar. Leyte, this is the other one. As you can see here, you have that like line separating the two pieces of metal because you got the roof and the sides. And then what else we got? Southern Leyte is so weird. Pretty standard there. Cebu City often has like these clamps around the poles, and it just kind of looks unique, you know, for the city. I know Bohol is pretty popular with these counters. Like I was saying, they look like Samar, but they're a little bit different because they extend out. Also, the specific counters they use tend to be different as well. Zamboanga del Norte. Oh, this is one. This counter here seems to show up a lot. I probably should have made an animation for it. This one's really good. It's like this metal, like almost rib cage is how I described it. Super common in Zamboanga del Sur. In Mindanao, you get similar Bohol counters in Occidental, Misamis. Same thing with Oriental. Large circular cutouts. Yep, all pretty normal. And this is, I mentioned this in the video briefly. You have that metal frame that it's attached to. It's a little thicker than normal. And it does bleed over the bottom, or it bleeds over the border. Yeah, a piece of wood. What else we got? Soccsksargen. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these metas are decent. I think someone in Plunkett actually made a whole post about this counter, and like technically it's regional and exists, but it's not that common. I just thought it was funny. And then Davao, this counter's pretty good. So you get this weird counter attached to a metal strap thing. I don't know, a metal thing, and it's only found in Davao del Sur. It's kind of like Negros Occidental, but the counter's a lot shorter. Also, in just around Davao, the pipes seem to be often attached to like the walls of the houses, and the tubing goes way higher than usual. And sometimes it will like be attached to. I wonder if I got a picture. I didn't really get a good picture in here, but it'll be like attached to a tube, which is then attached to another tube, which is attached to the power line. I love this meta. This shows up so much. These little clamps here, it's kind of hard to tell, but they kind of fit that 90-degree fitting is super common in Davao, and it seems to show up a lot, and it's pretty consistent. I've already used that like 3 times in duels, so highly recommend this one. As you can see, that bleeds over the border from that other one. Yeah, the Davao Oriental's just super bizarre. Alright, so that's that. And then I want to show the Mumric ones, which are like awesome, that I just totally missed. So the Oriental pole support, see here in Davao Oriental, it looks like they're just attached to, yeah, they're much larger and like attached to this wire frame almost. And it seems to be pretty common. Oh, that's a different meta, I think. Yeah, there you go again. I somehow missed this when I was mapping it, so awesome you found it. Also, when you have these metal these metal backboards and the wooden backboards and the metal roofs, seems to be very common as well. It's like a corrugated metal as well, because I have seen some on other islands, but it doesn't look like this, and the board's much bigger. What else we got? We got the... Oh yeah, counters with numbers on it. So he just has it here in Soccsksargen, but I do know they're really common on the island of Poro, and then also I think Dinagat Island as well. But I didn't realize that it was common in Soccsksargen. I somehow just overlooked this, so that's a good meta that I didn't have in my doc. Also this, I was considering adding this, but I didn't bother mapping it. But when you get these like octagonal boxes underneath counters, it seems to be similar to the region of where you have that box or whatever as well, along with the counter. Kind of just around capital, you could hedge. And then, what was this? I don't know. Wait, what, did I have anything else? Oh, Catanduanes has, I guess, this counter. I couldn't find a meta for this island, so I'm happy he did. Another yellow meta, so be aware of this. Don't go Panay. But at least around this area of the island, it seems to be somewhat common. Don't know if you'd ever use that, but I guess good to know it exists. I believe, and that's everything in his document that I didn't get. And yeah, there's one more thing I want to highlight. At some point during the making of this video, I got kind of bored and decided to map out a bunch of random metas. Now these maps aren't that useful, but I figured I'd share them anyways. So this map is a distribution map of counters attached to wooden planks. And this one is for circular counters. This one is for counters that feature metal roofs. And finally, this last one is for the tubing that the cables are routed with. Finally, I want to give a huge, a massive shout out to Waka. Waka is one of my good friends, and he made all of those amazing 3D models. If anyone wants those 3D models for their own projects, I have a link in the description for all the downloads to them. They are just beautiful works of art, and I wouldn't be able to make a video this good without his help. Alrighty, well that's it. This is the first document I've done, and my apologies for such a lengthy video. I hope it helps someone region guess. I hope you all win some duels. If you find any corrections or any other metas you'd suggest adding, feel free to leave a comment. Alternatively, you could reach out to me on Discord. My name's Ofishy, Ofishey. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and thanks for watching.